the vice president. His name is Dr. Gideon Boako. He is also a parliamentary candidate. So he's campaigning with his boss and campaigning for himself. He's joining me in studio. Gideon, you're welcome to. In fact, I should not say Gideon. I say doctor because you have a PhD. Charlie, proper one.
Better say Gidi.
No. Charlie, how are you?
Charlie, I cannot complain. I'm doing better,
How are you managing the campaign in the constituency, the campaign nationally? Let's start with the constituency. How is the constituency looking? You won properly. You defeated a minister of state. Charlie, you're a big man.
You put that aside.
No. You're a big man. How is the constituency looking?
Constituency is good. I actually returned from the constituency this afternoon. I've been there since Friday, taking part in the registration exercise. This is my second time of going to monitor what is happening. Because of the trial role, I should say, I'm working for government in Ghana, following the vice president and also doing my own campaign. So sometimes weekends I get the opportunity and the permission from the vice president to go back and engage my people. It's going well. It's been good.
Is your constituency a very certain NPP constituency or it switches? So how safe are you?
My constituency is NPP and shall forever remain.
Always been NPP?
It's the since NPP decided to participate in the parliamentary elections from 1996, it has always been an NPP constituency. The NDC has never won that constituency before.
So you're sure that you can retain it for NPP?
Absolutely.
Things are looking good for you. Okay, let's talk about your boss now. Let's start with what he did in Accra today. So he launched the Kayaye project for the Youth Employment Agency, Kofi Ejepon's YEA, organized that program at Medina Social Welfare. I was the MC, but since you are the organizer, I can question you as if I wasn't even there. Talk to us about the Kayayo plan by the vice president. It was a promise. I've seen the first project being delivered.
Yeah, I remember in 2019, the vice president paid a working visit to Abobrishi. And I was very instrumental in that particular exercise where we toured the whole of Abobrishi, spoke to them, engaged the community and all of that. But one thing became apparent during the conversations and engagements with the people of Abobrishi. We saw the large volumes of Kayaye people within that enclave and people who had traveled from far north to south to look for greener pastures, so to speak. And one of the key issues that the leadership of Abobrishi, the imams and the umaras and all of that put before the vice president was the plight of the Kayaye people. So right after that, we had a series of meetings at the office with the leadership of Abobrishi, and the same thing also came up again. And there was a request from the leadership then that if they could get a place of some kind of shelter for some of the people who come. At that time, the main concentration was on those who come down here for Kayaye, become pregnant, some of them become very ill, and they can no longer put up with living on the streets and the kiosk of people, and it becomes a problem for them. So some of the leaders had to accommodate some of them in their corridors, and it was a whole lot of bizarre description. So the vice president then decided that he will look around to see the possibility of getting some shelter for them. And so he made a kind of a statement to that effect. And once the statement came out, I remember you personally decided to go to Abobrishi, engage them, do some interviews there. And we got out of the media discussions. There were pundits who suggested it was not possible. Others said we could refine it this way. How are you going to put up a hostel to accommodate all these thousands, tens of thousands of people? Where are you going to site it? So in that kind of conversation, we felt there was a need to do something like that. And therefore, in the 2020 elections, there was a promise by this government, influenced by the vice president, who was the chairperson of the NPP 2020 manifesto, that giving the opportunity for the second time to President Akufo-Addo, the government was going to put up hostels for the Kayaye. And so after 2020, I remember there were a couple of media interviews and discussions as
hostels
to
no way.
Exactly, hostels no way and those kind of things. But we were working briskly on that. I should say that the project would have come to fruition a little bit earlier than what we saw today, but we've had issues with land in Greater Accra, for instance. We started from Aboblushi. Land was given. It became a whole tussle. There was another consideration with the Roman Catholic Church, Father Campbell, and we wanted to do that jointly with the soup kitchen, Mother Teresa soup kitchen. There was some commitments from some of the landowners in Accra. At a point, it became a problem. I remember we had to go to Ashanti region. We were looking for land. We got some land at Bantama constituency. That one also, people living around complained that they will not allow that school park. It was a school park to be used for such a project. So it has been back and forth, and the main delaying factor was the land issue. Other than that, government was prepared. There was funding available for this to be done. And we thank God that after all the difficulties and the challenges, we had some clarity on the way. And this Medina one has been, commissioned today. I understand there are about 6 or 8 or so of such in Accra, 6 in Ashanti region, 2 in the Bono region, which will come up very soon. And I think that I'm excited today because I also feel our brothers and sisters need this kind of facility. And it's not just a shelter to accommodate people, but also a training center to give them some kind of employable skills.
So they will sleep there and also be trained there.
Exactly, and it has a whole lot of you had opportunity to tour the facilities or the clinics or the state of the art environment, chairs and all of that provided, accommodation. And I think if I were Kaya here today, I'll be very excited because I know not all of them will have the opportunity to benefit from this particular facility at Medina, but the ones that are coming up, the majority of them. And this is going to be more or less like a training center. You come in cohorts, and once your cohort is done, you acquire the skills, different skills.
So it's not as if they close from Accra Central, Tudu, and all those places and have to go there and go and sleep and come back in the morning. That's not the plan. The plan is you bring them in and train them. Is that the plan? Yeah,
that's basically the plan, because you don't also want to create an environment where you provide, let's say, a substrate or platform for the influx, that kind of migration.
Mm-hmm.
So those who are here already, you need to find ways to get them employed to do something else, even and as they are living the Kaya business, then maybe others can also replace. You don't want them to remain there and be there, and others are also coming to add up, and within a year or so you have that kind of
but the next question is, or the bigger question is, instead of accommodating them here, why don't you prevent them from coming, so that bridging the north-south divide, the rural-urban drift, why don't you provide opportunities for them in Wali, for instance, so that they don't have to come to Accra and be struggling to go and sleep in a storage building?
It's a whole economic situation, and where economics play critical roles in the lives of people, prevention and putting constraints on the part of people becomes problematic. Let's also admit that they are also part of the job market ecosystem and the whole human society. I mean, you may have the money to buy a car. You may need somebody to work on the car for you as a mechanic, or somebody at the car washing bay to wash it for you. So at any point in time, somebody needs help, whether you're a big man or you're a low class person. So the services that they also provide are also needed for the economy to boom. So one way or the other, you need people like that. But the question is, if somebody lives in, let's say, Sisala, and feels that I have to come to Accra to do something else, the intent may not even be coming to do Kaya, but to come and visit an uncle, or to do something else, do a shoe shine, or do another thing, or come and look for money to go to school. When the person gets here, whether it becomes a trotro mate or a kaya mate, you don't have restriction over that. So no matter what you do, as for migration and people moving from one place to the other, whether to fit in the level that they are supposed to fit in or go down to do something else, you can't prevent that. But once it happens, what can you do to salvage the situation, to also ensure that they have the proper means of settlement and the proper means of living? So this is basically why we are creating that. Other than that, they will come and you leave them to their fate and they become sick, they die, and all of that. You don't want that to happen. So what government is trying to do is that, yes, I mean, just as you may be happy to see a medical doctor move from US to come and settle in Ghana to work, the same way you should feel happy that somebody has moved up north down here to be a Kaya person. That is also the work that he or she can do at this material point in time. It doesn't mean that that will be the end of it all. Some of them graduate, get over this, go to school. I mean, I have been a trotro mate in Kumasi before. By the time I moved from my village, Boma, to go to Kumasi to become a trotro mate, I didn't go there to become a trotro mate. I went there because I had finished senior high school. There was no money to take me to school. I needed to do something to get money to go to school. I got there, so chewing gum and hacks at funerals, did some kind of teaching, did some trotro mate, and I got the money to go to school. Today I'm sitting here. So if at that time somebody had not provided a conducive environment for me to live, I wouldn't have been here as I am. So they also come here to do something with the hope of getting something better. So we don't have to leave them to their fate to say that you don't qualify to be here or you're not supposed to be. You have to prevent.
So let's move from the Youth Employment Agency and the Kayayo project. Let's talk about the DMB campaign. He's been doing a nationwide tour. What has been the feedback and reactions from people so far?
I think the best description is what you can picture in your own eyes and your assessment and how people see the whole movement and the engagement. For me, it has been super amazing. It has been fantastic. And I must say that at the beginning of it, I never thought it was going to be like this. The kind of reception and the acceptance level of the vice president is something that consoles me. It gives me an impression that irrespective of how you see things and how people assess their own economic situations, there's some level of confidence and trust in the persona of the vice president, that people think that this is a gentleman who came to the table highly, in a manner that people never thought he could fit very well, and he has discharged himself and exercised his right as vice president in a way that people see that, look, if you give this guy a chance, he can do something great. Because as we move around from chiefs to clergy, the imam, and all the young people that we meet, I mean, they say that, look, we know politicians can say things and do otherwise. We know politicians can promise big and deliver small, but in his, that is Bawumia's rightful capacity as the vice president, yes, he's not been able to do everything that we thought he could do, but if they want to assess him relative to what has happened in the past, then they can say that this is the vice president who has distinguished himself so well and done so much that relatively they cannot compare any other vice president to what he's done. And if that is anything to go by, then it means that given the opportunity, if he's been able to distinguish himself in the capacity as vice president the way he has done, then it means that he can also do something great as a president of this country. There are those who believe that Bawumia has been the most impactful vice president Ghana has ever had. And if that is anything to go by, then it goes without saying that if he's been the most impactful vice president, then it means given the opportunity, he can be the most impactful president.
But the campaign itself has thrown out a few things. It's shown him some smoothness level, some turbulence. For instance, that town hall meeting you do with the youth, you call it the Youth Connect. Are you sure he's ready to be taking questions from the public, considering that student, that nursing training college student, the question that she put up, some critics say that it humiliated the vice president. Are you sure that's an approach you should be adopting, considering that there may be mega questions of this government that he may not be able to answer, like the one that we saw where he said he would have to defer to the finance minister?
In fact, I have been expecting tougher questions than even what people have asked so far. You understand? And he is skin ready to deal with any question that comes. Of course, the ones that he has to make honest admission, he would do so. He is not into to suggest to people that he's a repository of knowledge or he has done everything or this government has done everything. The question that the student asks, for me, I don't see the fires about that question. The student asks about the nursing trainee allowance. Of course, the vice president had spoken about the allowance already, and that student said that she had not received her allowance. That was not far from what we knew, because the vice president knew perfectly that the allowance was restored by this government, and that there's no question about that, and has been paid, yet there are some delays. So the fact that the student said she had not received the allowance at the time did not go
throughout a 4-year or 3-year study. That's a problem.
And that is not
an
true.
arrears for 3 years or 4 years.
That is something that, because the vice president, he didn't have to challenge the student that way. But honestly, that is not true. That somebody has gone to school for 4 years and has not received the allowance.
Not a single person. You have that on record.
That statement from the student cannot be true.
So if we call that student and said it should
look, absolutely.
Or if we went to the school, there can be records to show
that statement cannot be true.
So when I coming out with the records to prove that what she said is a lie.
What is true is that they have some delays, and I understand from November last year or so. It cannot be true.
So why would she say that if it's not true?
I don't know.
She's a young girl.
To be honest with you, I don't know. But I mean, I'm telling you this, it cannot be true.
Do you think she was sent to say that then?
I don't think so. You know, sometimes we have all been students and been in this capacity before. You have prepared your minds to go and ask a question, sometimes stage flight, the crowd. So you are not able to, it could be, you're not able to organize your thoughts very well. You may say something and go back.
She sounded very well organized. She was certain. She even used a slang.
That's fine. But I'm saying that it cannot be true.
Okay.
That for 4 years, she's not received allowance at all. She can talk about delays. And that is why I'm sure surprised the vice president. He said, if that is the case, I'll ask the finance minister.
The other issue is with the management of taxing or giving incentives to the church. What is the vice president trying to say? Use our tax money to give to the church?
No. He's not saying that. You know, if I give you incentive, okay, it's just like the economists and accountants will talk about economic profit and accounting profit. A lot of, the accountants like to deal with accounting profit because those are the real ones. The economic profit, opportunity cost, the economists can even describe it as, part of your revenue, because that is something you forgo for doing another thing else. So what the vice president is saying is that if you look at religious bodies and the roles that they play in this country, they do so much. The Catholic Church, the schools they are built, the Presby, Pentecost, and all of that. So they are development agents, honestly. So the vice president says that he thinks he's going to have what he calls the golden age of relationship with the faith-based organizations, and he thinks that when development agents like DFID, UNICEF, and all of that are bringing staff into the country to build schools, build hospitals, do some development projects, if they qualify for some tax incentives, why don't we also give same to Ghanaian religious bodies? Because mind you, most of these development agents also come through missionaries and all of that. So why don't we do same for the faith-based organizations in the country, so that they can also have some of these, freedom in terms of taxes to do more for the country? So that's the kind of collaboration he is seeking to have in partnership with the church and all other faith-based organizations. Because look, the church and the faith-based organizations have built more schools in this country than any other person has built. So it means they need some level of, government support. The government does not have money to give to them. give them the incentives, let them benefit from the same things that the international development agents also benefit from. So we describe this as domestic development agents, and they also qualify to have some of these.
So you're not going
benefits.
to put them on salary. That's not what it means.
Not at all. Not at
Someone just prompted me that what the vice president said about the the nursing trainees, that their monies were going to be paid by Thursday, and that the trainees are saying that money has not been paid.
No. People they didn't understand the vice. The vice president didn't say that. He said that the transfer of the money is going to be done to the accounts of the controller on Thursday, and once the money hits, it has to be transferred, for processing. And so he said that tentatively the payment will be done this week. He said that.
Okay. So the trainee should expect the payment this week, not last week.
No,
Thursday.
not at all.
What's the next agenda? If he finishes this roundup, the next big agenda, people are waiting for your running mate. Are you not being able to decide on a running mate?
I thought you nominated the running mate.
I did, but it didn't happen. So when is your running mate coming?
It will come very soon.
Are you pressurized?
He or she will come very
soon. It's a he. Oh, now there's a she inside. Okay, at least we've heard that there could be a she. Because Mama has brought a she. People are waiting for you to also bring a she.
He or she will come very soon.
Is it that there's so much pressure the vice president cannot make up his mind, or he's made up his mind but doesn't want to announce it? What's happening?
No, the vice president has been very clear on who to be his running mate long.
So he knows.
He knows, absolutely.
Do you know?
You want me to tell you something?
Yeah, please say. Give me a clue.
I won't give you.
Is he a man or a woman?
I don't trust you that much.
Dr. Gideon Boako, spokesperson, Dr. Bawumia. Thank you so much for joining us on Prime Line.
Thank you so much.
So that's Ogidi Gidi.